Coming to you live from the pub. Welcome back to another episode of UCF Uncut. Tonight, we are going to talk about UCF Donors. We are going to talk about the fall camp update. We got a lot of battles going on. We're going to talk about the Bounce House Stadium experience and also how we're doing so far on the recruiting trail for 2026 under Scott Frost. But first, we are going to talk about the UCF Brew of the Night. All right, tonight we got a classic here for some of the older listeners in the building. This is a Coors Banquet. If you don't know, Coors is a brewery from Golden, Colorado. When I lived in Denver, I learned a lot about Coors and a lot of their history. And so, yeah, Coors Banquet. We're going to give this one a taste. This is out of Golden, Colorado. Awesome little town. Used to be like a minor town just outside of Denver, Golden, Colorado. Usually I pour it in a mug, but these are pretty cool. The 16 ounce, they had a sale on Publix for I think it was 12 or 18 pack for $18. So let's take a sip, see how it's going. Oh, it's so good and refreshing. Ice cold. This is 5%. And it's really, really solid golden lager. So as always, we give it a rating. So tonight's brew of the night, overall beer rating on the Coors Banquet. I would give this a solid 9.4 out of 10. So we're going to go with a 9.4 out of 10 for the Coors Banquet. You can get these basically anywhere in the U.S. Solid beer, step up from Coors Light. Really good beer. I think Coors Banquet, these are great beers if you want to, have a few brews before the game, tailgate. These are a little heavier, I think. If you're trying to play some flip cup or something, or beer funnel, maybe you don't want to use a Coors Banquet. Maybe you go with a Coors Light. Coors Banquet, really good, really refreshing after a long day. Basically, anything is refreshing after watching what Gus Malzahn did at UCF, and yeah, so brutal. All right, so Coors Banquet. Let's talk some UCF football. All right, here's what's burning as a UCF fan that kills me. We go to the University of Central Florida, one of the largest schools in the nation. I think so many people don't understand how many active and alumni graduate from UCF. So it's a massive school. And we're located in one of the coolest spots in the country, Orlando, Florida. And what is near Orlando that everybody travels to, even from other countries? And that's Disney. Disney World, right? The Mecca, Disney, is right in our backyard at UCF. Now, what bothers me is this. We're in the Big 12, and I see Texas Tech getting huge donations from oil money, alumni who graduated from their school. So what did I do today? We're going to go through some of the most famous alumni that graduated from UCF and how much they've donated or if they donated at all. And the first one that bothers me the most in the partnership that we have is with Disney. And it's amazing that we have this partnership with Disney right now, but I think they need to do a lot more than what they've been doing. We're the flagship university in Orlando. We are in the Power 4. We're a Big 12 school. We're on the uprise, and we got Disney in our backyard, and we're struggling to pay players and be competitive when we're literally partners with Disney. It makes no sense. And so right now we have a partnership with Disney called Disney Aspire. It helps Disney employees have their tuition covered to go to UCF, and they also have a graduate program that they connect, employees with UCF, and it's paid. So it's kind of like an inside to get education at UCF if you're a Disney employee. So that's cool for Disney employees, But what about people who go to UCF that aren't Disney employees, right? So it does say here in 2019 that UCF and Disney have a sponsorship that includes shared marketing opportunities, whatever that means, in-game promotions at UCF home football games, which I have seen some Disney signs, Disney signage in Spectrum Stadium. Now it's, I can't even pronounce it, Aquasure, I think. I don't know. It's a terrible name. We'll call it the Bounce House. But that's it. So they did sponsor UCF in 2019 through a multi-year agreement. And here's the best part. The dollar amount of that sponsorship is unknown. Nobody knows. The only people who know is UCF football. So it's kind of like when you have a relative who always asks for money and you give them a sum of money and then they say they're broke and they need money all the time. And it's like, we just gave you a ton of money. What are you talking about? And we don't know how much money was given to the relative because in this case, Disney, the relative loaning the money to the relative at UCF, we don't know how much money they got. And we still don't know. So Disney is like, hey, we gave UCF money. We're sponsorship partners. We're doing all the right things. We have educational pathways. We're linked up with UCF and we're in good standing. And maybe UCF's thankful for that. And I'm sure they are. But they need to do more. Like, step up. Disney, step up. So that's annoying to me. But we're going to move on. Let's look at some alumni from UCF. And there's a couple that really need to step it up. Let's look at a few of them. There's Harris Rosen, that they founded Rosen Hotels and Resorts, and established UCF Rosen College of Hospitality and Management, one of the best in the country. Don't know how much Harris Rosen is contributing to UCF football. Not sure. How about this one? Alan Weiss, former president of worldwide operations for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. You were the former president and you're not doing enough, and UCF's not really in the top 3 or 4 in the Big 12. It's not like we're in the SEC. We're not competing against these huge blue bloods financially. We need help. Where you at, Alan Weiss? Okay. Next, Jessica Bloom. Retired vice chair and currently sits on the board of directors of Publix, a Fortune 100 company. Okay. I don't know. Where are you at, Jessica Bloom? Where's Publix at? Let's get a little bit of that Publix money. Or let's get some pub subs in the stadium. That's the best idea yet. Let's get pub subs in the stadium. Can you imagine? People would just come to UCF games to get a pub sub. So that's amazing. But nothing. Here's one. How about Brian France, former chairman and CEO of NASCAR? What? Where's he at? Come on, Brian. Come on, NASCAR. Show some love. Plies. I think you see him on Twitter sometimes. Yeah. I mean, his net worth is only $14 million, it's saying. Hey, I get it. I'm not asking Plies for tons of money, but it's cool. I do see he always criticized Gus Malzahn on Twitter, which is kind of funny. But I think he has ties to USF. I know he's from Tampa, right? Fort Myers. Fort Myers. But I thought he went to USF too. I'm not sure, but definitely UCF. He's an alumni. The next one, we got a hedge fund manager, Toby Grable. Never really heard of him. It's pretty cool. Never heard of him. Hopefully he's donating. The biggest one that's donating is Taylor Gehring, co-founder of Ethereum. I always say it wrong. Ethereum. It's like Bitcoin. It's very popular cryptocurrency. We'll talk about him in a second. And let's see, is there anyone else? Oh, how about the president of Red Lobster is a graduate of UCF, Sally Setta. Well, we know Red Lobster. I think they went bankrupt. There's a few of them left, though, so that's kind of cool. Here's one. Brian Wheeler, founder and CEO of Tijuana Flats. They're doing pretty good. Where's he at? Hey, we would take some Tijuana Flats at the games. Upgrade from what we had before. We'll see with the new vendors how they do, but the food last year was trash at the stadium. And here's one that I'm not going to let off the hook. Daniel Tosh. Some of you younger UCF grads don't even probably know who he is, but he graduated from UCF in 1996. I remember he shouted out the 2017 national champ UCF team on one of his episodes. I think he's off air now. I don't know what happened to him, but where is he at? Come on, Tosh. Get it going. We need help. And then let's talk about all the other UCF football graduates. I don't know where they're at with funding in donations. And I know a lot of them in the past probably didn't make a lot because they played in the NFL, like Dante Culpepper back in the day, and they didn't make much. But maybe some of the new ones throw some money our way. Yeah, let's like hold these people accountable and put their feet to the fire. You know, we got the average Joes out here making 60 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand a year, and they're buying season tickets. They're out here supporting UCF football in every way possible. And then you got these alumni out here who don't show any love to UCF, and it's just outrageous. So let's keep rolling. Who has donated the most? Right? The single largest donation ever received by UCF athletics, including football, came from Taylor Gehring, 2005 graduate and blockchain pioneer. He donated $5.5 million to the athletic department and an additional $1 million to UCF's NIL, the Kingdom. So, awesome. I mean, this guy, he is the savior. He is the knight in shining armor for UCF football. So shout out to him. At least he's trying. Let's take a look. His net worth is estimated to be $450 to $500 million. Okay. And he donated $6.5 million, which is less than 1% of his overall net worth. So, I mean, if I was worth 450 to 500 million, I promise you, I would be donating enough to have UCF have the most money in the Big 12 for roster management every single year. That's a fact. There's no doubt about it. But maybe he's not that diehard of a UCF fan, and he's just a cash. Throws a little cash at him. Hey, we're thankful. It's not a small sum. It's a lot of money. But, you know, he's done enough. Let's look at other people who need to step up, you know. And Daniel Tosh, I think he's one of them. Okay. So the donations is another interesting thing. UCF kind of always cries like they're poor and they don't have the money to pay players like other schools in the Big 12. But let's take a look at how they did in 2024 and 2025 fiscal year donations. UCF Athletics received a record-setting $52.8 million in cash and commitments from 13,206 donors. 52.8 mil. Let's round out to 53. 53 mil UCF got in donations last year. Okay? 53. Plus the Big 12 split share. And they're out here saying they don't have enough money, really, to be competitive. Gus Malzahn was complaining, we don't have enough money to be competitive in the Big 12 to pay these guys. But when you look at it, they got $52 million last year, plus the Big 12 share. So our starting quarterback, KJ Jefferson, was like, he got paid like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 at most. Hey, here's an idea. Let's take $52.8 million. Let's carve out $2 million, and let's go get the best quarterback in the portal and win the Big 12 championship. How's that sound? You think we'd make more money on that investment by exposure, by how much we're going to be featured on, you know, every sports channel possible as we make the run in the college football playoff? At least we'll get there. At least we wouldn't be 4-8. So maybe we should look at, we hired a new GM. This is kind of just random, but we hired a new GM at UCF, former Nebraska associate employee under Scott Frost. He was at UCF in 2017 as well, to be a, you know, kind of GM, money manager, which is great. I think Frost needs help with that. So we got somebody to come on in. So we'll see how he does. If I was UCF, I would hire someone who works in finance from an established company, you know, JP Morgan, you know, you name it. Somebody who knows money. Borrow one of Trump's guys. Any of them. They know money. They could turn this thing around. They could get this thing profitable. So UCF's in a good position and is, you know, exceeding expectations. They are receiving money, you know, $52.8 million for the year. And I know we're doing expansion with the Roth Tower, and the lazy river, all that, and redoing that, and that's great. But yeah, I'm kind of tired of hearing about that. Like, step up. Like, UCF, spend money on these guys. Let's bring in some players. We're not the poor school that you guys claim to be. So it's like, enough of that. Okay, next we're going to pivot to the bounce house. Some things that I think are super interesting that I'm seeing on Twitter, and it's annoying. It's like super annoying. I've experienced this when I went to a game versus Colorado. Great experience, right? So I'm in Colorado. UCF, we got Deion Sanders, we got everybody in the building. Recruits, you see Cam Newton out there looking like he's straight out of Bridgerton, dressed like he's out of Bridgerton. Hilarious. Everybody's in the building. I think Bortles was there. I think Gabe Davis was there. There's so many recruits, former players. The place was buzzing. We had Big 12 noon kickoff. The place was epic. It was a great environment. I thought, this is the game UCF's putting on the map. But that was not the case. Anyway, a friend of mine, we're in 2 seats in row 2 on the 40-yard line in the Carl Black and Gold Cabana. Cabana. And we're hype. It's like a minute into the game. Everyone's standing, getting loud, 3rd and 1. Everyone's getting loud. And we're standing up and we're getting loud. And these old people are sitting in the 3rd row behind us. And they're like, instantly feel a tap on the shoulder. And I'm like, the hell is it? I turn around and they're like, you can't stand the whole game. Please sit down. And, I was like, thinking about it. I'm like, all right. Look, last I checked, the seat that you have is elevated higher than the seat that I'm in. Okay? So if I stand up and you stand up, you would be able to see. I'm not taller than the average person. I'm not shorter than the average person. I'm 5'10". And I get it, it's annoying, and old people, hey, they want to sit, no problem. Buy a ticket way up in the box, or buy a front row ticket if you don't want to stand. But guess what? It's a lively event. UCF is one of the most youngest alumni base. They're in the mid to low 30s. And we are known to be a very, very loud stadium. So, like, if you're standing and you're getting loud, that's good. We want that at UCF. Most of the fans want that. That's like the environment it is. It's loud. We only have so many seats in the stadium. So I hope we have rowdy fans. And it's not like we're being obnoxious. It's just people are standing sometimes because the person in front of you stands. So I have to stand because I can't see. So what do you want from me? Janet and Karen. I don't know what to tell them. So it's annoying. It's like, if you go to a UCF football game, expect to stand. If you don't want to stand, then sit. Or get a seat where you could see clearly if you want to sit. Maybe in some of those, those like, I forget what they call them. The club level area where, you have little square seats where you're cut out where you could sit. And most people are going to sit in that area. Or here's a better idea. Watch the game from home. But don't blame people that are standing and lively because you don't want to stand. So that's annoying to me. So the bounce house, yeah, that culture of sitting. If you sit, that's on you. But don't complain if people stand in front of you. Next, some of the funny things about UCF student section, right? Like, UCF football has been known to be called out, the UCF students, for leaving the game at halftime, where you see the student section rocking in the first half, and then after, they're gone. And it's like, where's everybody at? It's like the band left the corner of the stadium, but it's the whole student section for the second half. And people are like, oh, yeah, where's UCF fans at? Like, why did they leave? What's going on there? Like, why is that the case when we see UCF game on ESPN? Or back in the day, ESPN, the Ocho, we'd be on like ESPN 3+, Deportes. We can't even get the game. I'm like, it was so hard to get UCF games sometimes back in the day. It was outrageous. But nowadays, we're on a national televised game. You want to see the fans stick around for the whole game and for the team and just the liveliness of the bounce house. Like, we don't want to see people leaving. And I think UCF did a good job with the 2 things. Putting the student section in both end zones was brilliant. I love that idea. So I love that from UCF. And then also raffling the tickets and making it more of like a privilege to get a ticket instead of just giving them out. So that's good too. It's more like the raffle, and it's like you got to wait in line if you want to get a ticket. So that's cool. But like, why did the student section feel the need to leave at halftime? And I think a lot of people just don't get it who didn't go to UCF, maybe weren't in Greek life, or just didn't really have that experience tailgating at UCF. So a couple things. First thing is, hold on a second here. Talking about tailgating. Some of my favorite times at UCF for tailgating. And it still are. Yeah, so Memory Mall, the most lively strip of land in all of college campuses, right? You can show up for a noon kickoff game at Memory Mall. Well, when I was at UCF, the fraternity I was in, Lambda Chi Alpha, shout out to them, they didn't live on campus because UCF campus has a lot of rules. And if you had a house on campus, they're very like strict. You go on probation, your chapter will be pulled, you'll be kicked off campus, you'll be, UCF, they're like super wild about their rules. So, it'd be 6 a.m. and there's flip cup and beer pong going on and shots. Like Zombie Nation's playing and it's 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And everybody was out the night before till 2. So, like, it starts up early. So you got to think, why do people leave the stadium when it's halftime and it's a noon game on a Saturday? So they've been drinking since 6 a.m. Memory Mall opens at like 8, 9, I think 9. But people get out there like at like 8 a.m. The girls are getting fired up. And then, the fraternities have their own tents in Memory Mall where basically each square of land, like little square, is a tailgate lot that's assigned to whoever. And so what they would do is they'd have the newest associate members, who other fraternities call pledges, basically go out there early in the morning and reserve the spot, set up the little tent, get the coolers filled with ice, and then people show up with beer, 12 packs, whatever, put them out. And they got the table set up and their cups, music. And then as soon as 8 a.m. starts and we're starting to set up, 9 a.m., everybody shows up. And they're unloading beer in the cooler and cooler and cooler until we're stacked up. And then we got beer funnels hanging from the tops of these big, tents. We got flip cup going. We got beer pong going. We have beer games. We have cornhole. And then the sororities come. So it's like a big party. And that's all going on just, in Memory Mall right outside the basketball stadium as you get towards UCF's football stadium. So that's the atmosphere. Then think about that. That's just one fraternity. And then you have 12 others doing the same exact thing right next to you. And then the sororities. And then you have the GDIs, which is like the independents, the people who aren't in fraternities and sororities. They're there. And then you have the alumni. They're there. And, usually the younger crowd stays in that Memory Mall area. And it's an absolute party zone. But it's a great vibes. Everybody's really cool, friendly for the most part. Good times. And then, over the years, the stadium, when you park or you walk, if you park in some of the parking garages, you'll see some of the older alumni on the outskirts of UCF tailgating all around the campus. It's amazing. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful event, but it's a great time. So there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. So you start at 6 a.m. By the time kickoff starts at 12, people have been out in the sun. They've been having a good time. So the time halftime comes around 2 o'clock. Guess what? People are like, we're going to go to some of the bars right down the street, kind of like after party right away. Or we're going to go to a house party. We are going to keep going. And they leave. And they leave at halftime. That was kind of the tradition and history of UCF fans for a long time. It's starting to change. They're starting to stick around longer, which is great. Great to see. And I think that's some of the history about it. So that's just a quick update of like what's going on with the student section. I saw that on Twitter, and I think people just don't understand what really is going on there. These people are partying. I don't know what school a lot of them went to who don't understand, but if you went to UCF or, you know, you don't live under a rock, like you go to Memory Mall, you're gonna see you're gonna see the partying. It's great, especially on like family weekend, seeing like some of the dads come out of the woodwork and like go absolutely nuts. It's hilarious. So comical. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with Stadium. And let's take a look at UCF's recruiting real quick for 2026. A little concerning. Not because we're getting a lot of like 3-star guys. That's cool. Like I said, I'd rather take a 3-star from Florida over a 4 or 5 from any other state for the most part. That's just how I feel about it. But out of the 15 total commits in 2026, only 5 of them are from Florida. Only 5. So, Frost's whole thing was, I can recruit in Florida, don't need to go outside of the state, just in the Central Florida, South Florida, we're going to be good. But so far, 15 recruits, only 5 of them are from Florida. 10 are from out of state. Little concerning. I know it's early, still got to build up relationships, so that's something, but not too good. Also, if you look at the 24/7, we're ranked 71 composite, so not great. We only have 190 rating 4-star. We have 1 4-star committed from St. Thomas More in Connecticut. Again, a 4-star from Connecticut. Yikes! I mean, it's great he's a 4-star. But guys, red flag right now. We have a 4-star from Connecticut, but we have a whole bunch of out-of-staters. We have 5 Florida commits from the state of Florida, and the only 4-star we have is from Connecticut. Yikes! Name a good player from Connecticut besides, rest in peace, Aaron Hernandez. Oh, so that's wild. Anyway, we got to do better on the recruiting trail. Let's make some better connections. I don't know what we're doing. All right. Fall camp, right? Fall camp's going on right now. I got a couple ideas. Here's a good one. First one, Jaccuri Brown. He is not going to start. He is not meant to be a quarterback. He's not. He's just not. He's the same Jaccuri Brown he was last year. He can't throw with accuracy. He cannot control the speed. He throws missiles. And he makes bad decisions. And he is not going to change. And you could see it in the clips you're seeing on Twitter right now of camp. How many picks have you seen? I mean, we got to just stop with Jaccuri Brown. Like, it's a 2-man race. And like I said, 99% chance it's Jackson's going to start. Tavon Jackson. But Cam Fancher is reliable. He's smart. He seems like more of a game manager and a consistent thrower. So it's good to have him as a backup. But Jackson's the dual threat guy that we want to start. I'm telling you. So let's take a look real quick. What can we do with Jaccuri Brown? I've already figured it out. We're moving him to receiver. We're going to move him to receiver. So his biggest strength is his speed, his agility, and quickness. He's elusive. Just because you can't play quarterback at UCF doesn't mean you can't be receiver 1, receiver 2, even receiver 3. Our receiver room is not proven. This is a great time to transition Jaccuri Brown to receiver. But, if I was Scott Frost, I'd say, listen, big fella, we're going to try you at receiver. Let's just get you the ball. You're going to get the ball more at receiver and have more chance to be an impact and make it to the league at receiver than you are at quarterback. Because if you throw the ball like this in the NFL, if you think you're going to be a quarterback at the next level, it's not going to happen. At this point, you were at Miami, you're at UCF, you were under Gus Malzahn, and now you're under Scott Frost. You got McKenzie Milton helping you, but you can only do so much. You're still throwing the same. It's all the same. It's like Groundhog Day. But let's move to your receiver, and I bet you have success. Yeah, you get Jaccuri Brown the ball, in the slot on a little slant, he might break one and go the distance. So I love moving him to receiver, getting him involved, drop a couple plays where he gets a couple possessions, a couple catches a game. He could be an impact player, but not at quarterback. So basically it's between Cam Fancher and Jackson. But I like Jackson, and I like Fancher as the backup. All right, so let's see. All right, receivers. What is going on right now in fall camp with receivers? So far in camp, all the videos I'm seeing are brutal. We have no separation from the DBs and a lot of drop balls when there is separation or there is a chance to make a play or there's pass interference. I've seen 2 PIs in 2 videos in a row. First one was I think a true freshman receiver. They just UCF football posted today, Sunday. And I'm like, first thing I said was, oh, you could see clear as day. He's pushing off. He's wearing a black jersey, the receiver. He's grabbing the DB as he's going up and he's pulling on his jersey and he makes the catch. And they're highlighting that. I'm like, that's offensive pass interference. It's clear as day. You could see it right there in the picture. You could see it. He grabs his jersey and lifts up and catches the ball. So, PI. Then you got Dylan Wade, my favorite transfer portal player on offense. He pushes off one of the Henderson twins, catches the ball. He's a dog. And he's a bulldog. I love that intensity, but it's a PI. It's offensive PI. You can't push off like that. And he makes the catch. So the receivers, and he's a tight end. But the receivers in general, I forgot. Somebody had they beat the corner. They were wide open, and they just dropped the ball in the end zone on a wide open play. I don't know who it was. But anyway, the whole point of what I'm saying is that the receivers right now need to step it up. But another thing to say is, hey, maybe UCF's DBs and corners are just that good. And that D-line's putting pressure and, rush throws, and it's tough for them. It's tough sledding. And that's possible because our defense is going to be solid this year. So it's possible. But so let's go over where we're at. QB battle, basically between Fancher and Jackson. I like Jackson to win it out. Very confident in that. Fancher's a great backup. And then you go to receivers. I'm going to give you kind of my offensive projected starters as of today, Sunday, August 3rd. Who do we have starting in the skill positions? Let's just go over that now. Here we go. QB1. Go ahead and bookmark it. It's going to be Jackson. Jackson starting at QB1. Now, receivers is interesting. We're going to go ahead and lock him in as starters. Waden Charles is going to start. He's looking great. He's looking the best out of all of our receivers. Marcus Burke, former Florida transfer. This is his year. He's going to be starting. And third, DJ Black. DJ Black is going to start. So those are our projecting receivers. And then at tight end, we got Dylan Wade. Kylan Fox is behind him, but I like Dylan Wade to start. No doubt. Running back. Here's a hot take, I guess. Jaden Nixon. He's starting. Montgomery is going to be used a lot, but Nixon's starting. He's more of a workhorse back, I think. I think he's going to be the starter. He's experienced. Look what he did in the MAC. He came originally from Oklahoma State. He is a solid back, and he might be really, really good in this offense. So there you go. There you have it. We have our starters. Jackson at quarterback, Burke, Charles, and Black at receiver, Wade at tight end, and Nixon at running back. Those are the offensive skill position players. We'll go defense on another pod. We got to kind of see how this fall goes, but that's kind of where I'm at right now with what I see so far. And then, final thoughts. Let's talk about something real quick I think is interesting. I think that the disrespect that UCF football is getting, this roster is getting from media, even from local fans and podcasts. Some of the UCF podcasts that I listen to are dry, boring, and they are afraid to offend people, especially UCF football. Make a stand. Get out of here. If you don't feel a certain way, don't be so bland and vanilla. It's we would be lucky if UCF gets a bowl game this upcoming year. We would be lucky if we win one more game than we did last year under Gus Malzahn when we were 4-8. Our expectations as a fan base are so low, it just baffles me. You know, we were conference champions every year. We had bowl game appearances every year. We were undefeated in 2017. We should have been undefeated in 2018 if we didn't get injured. We almost beat Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and I forget who the other receiver was, but 3 NFL superstars all on one team with a backup quarterback. We took them down to the wire with that 2018 team. So we've had the squad and we've been working with a lot less. Now we're here on the big stage. We get to the Big 12 and we're brutal. So thankfully we made a change. We're on the right direction. But hearing we should be happy with a bowl game appearance is meaningless. First, we need to shoot way higher than a bowl appearance. We need to be like ASU last year. Oh, we love being the underdog, chip on our shoulder. We're going to win the Big 12 and we're going to make it to the college football championship. That's the expectation. And I hate that they're like, well, you know, new team, makeshift roster. We're going to be happy if we make the bowl. We're bowl eligible. Even if you are bowl eligible, let's look at that. What does bowl eligibility mean in 2025? Basically means that a whole bunch of players are going to opt out, hit the portal, get a bag, and move on from the program. A lot won't play. The backups will play. And it's like meaningless. Bowl games are becoming meaningless by the year, and there's no incentive for players to play, risk injury. I mean, the only positive is you get some tape. Guys get tape, especially guys trying to make the league. It's one more game. It's a lot more practices. Good for the coaching staff. But at the end of the day, it's meaningless. Bowl games are nonsense. If you're not in the college football playoff, these guys are going to sit out anyway. They're not going to risk playing when there's no incentive. Unless you incentivize them in a contract to pay them to play in these bowl games, it might not make sense for them to do that. So yeah, that's annoying. And then a random cool thought I thought about, like, what's the worst position group under Gus Malzahn? And I was just thinking, like, what a big letdown it was our special teams and kickers. Basically, since Mike Hughes returning kicks, our kick returners have been trash. And as far as kickers go, our kickers under Gus Malzahn were trash. Like, Colton Boomer was a good guy, cool kid, but too much expectation on him anyway. You know, he did hit that Boise kick, which was awesome. But besides that, like, our kickers were brutal, and they have been brutal since Matt Wright. Right? I mean, yeah, Matt Wright. Matty Ice. But besides him, our special teams have been brutal. And so hopefully we improve that. Looks like we will improve that. We got Rice's special teams coordinator, who is known to have, you know, a good eye. He's got some good relationships, and that's where we got in those kickers. We got the one from JMU. He's going to be solid. I'm super excited about our kicking this year. I think we're going to be lethal from distance and consistent. Super excited for that. But that's the pod for today. We're going to keep it going, you know, keep you updated as fall camp moves forward. Also have, you know, a lot more info on the schedule coming out, like projections, win-loss, how we're looking. My expectation is way up here. Most UCF fans' expectations are way down under the screen. And I think we need to change that narrative. The culture is becoming a little bit toxic as far as expectations. And people just need to step it up from donors to the receiver room to the fans. All right. Well, I am out. Talk to you soon, Night Nation.